So when Joe and I first got married, we were pretty intentional about trying to make sure that we established some traditions for our own family. And so right away we started making a Thanksgiving dinner on our own. We would sometimes invite people over. Yeah, that was kind of fun. And then we also, we got ourselves a Christmas tree. So we got ourselves a Christmas tree that first year, and we each got some ornaments from our families, so like kind of old ones to put on. And then we got some new ones, and we've slowly been adding ornaments every year. So yeah, just some like traditions kind of based on the holidays. And then another thing that we decided to do was something that was more rooted in what Joe had done growing up, which was on Christmas Eve, we go and we either drive or go for a walk to go and look at Christmas lights. And then once we get home, then we usually open our gifts. And so that is something, so it was new for me. It was something that Joe did growing up, but it was something that I really started to enjoy and look forward to when we did that. So in Thunder Bay, once we got to Thunder Bay, we didn't really live in a neighborhood, so we didn't necessarily go for walks like around our own house, but we would go and drive somewhere, and then sometimes we would stop and like park and then get out and walk a little bit, looking at some lights, and then continue on in the vehicle. And there's a few years that kind of like stand out for me as a highlight. So there was one year we got our puppy, and we had gotten her only days before. We got her days before, I think on the 21st. And then so on Christmas Eve, on the 24th, we took her, in the truck all bundled up. She was sleeping on my lap as we drove around. And I think that year we just stayed in the vehicle and we just kind of drove around and looked at the lights as we were driving. And then I think the following year she was big enough, and we stopped in a neighborhood. And actually this is one that stands out in my memory too. We stopped in a neighborhood that had these massive evergreen trees, and the people who owned this property had put up lights in these huge trees, like all the way up to the top, and they had these big ornaments too that you could like see from like forever away. And it was just so striking because these massive trees were decorated so beautifully. So those are a couple of years earlier on that stand out to me. But the story that I want to more specifically tell, I guess, is from 2016. And so Joe and I were expecting our first baby. She was due to arrive early to middle January. And at the time, I was working 3 jobs. I was tutoring, I was working as a cashier at Toys R Us, and I was teaching part-time at the Christian school. So life was busy, but, trying to make some money before a baby comes. So things were busy, and, I was really, really looking forward to Christmas holidays. So I was kept telling myself, like, I've got a couple more weeks of work to go, and then, it'll be the Christmas holidays. So I kept thinking like, okay, I've washed the baby clothes and the blankets so that they're ready, but like once Christmas holidays hit, I'll have some time to relax. We'll be able to set up the change table, and, we had an appointment to have our car seat installed and inspected to make sure that was set up properly. I wanted to like clean the house a little bit and, get some food organized and just have some time to ourselves. And feel ready, right? Before the baby came. But then, cue mid-December, unexpectedly, I went into labor, and here was our baby. And for the most part, things were fine, but there was, there's some difficulty with doing feedings. There was some jaundice that we were kind of working against, and we needed her to gain weight before she could come home. And so there was a lot of anxiety that I started to feel related to things, and I think just, because it was an unexpected early delivery too, and then all of those kinds of things, I ended up kind of feeling like I had this like fog over me that, I was worried all the time about the baby and about things. And, Christmas was coming up. We were in the hospital for just under, I guess, the better part of a week with her trying to get all those things sorted out. And then when we came home, it was like a week to go, and then it was Christmas. And for me, I just was not in the headspace to be looking forward to, you know, the sense of wonder and, you know, fun and hope and joy that comes with Christmas time that year. And I remember being like happy that I had picked up at least one gift for Joe before, that I had at least one thing to wrap and put under the tree, but I was not in the headspace to be worrying or thinking about trying to get other things for him, or I think I was even happy. Yeah, I was happy at the time that, you know, we'd already set up our Christmas decorations, because I just was not in the mood to do any of that kind of stuff. And then, so come Christmas Eve, we'd been home for about a week, and then, you know, Joe suggested, you know what, let's go for our Christmas Eve drive to look at lights. And I was not interested. It was a daunting thought to me. The thought of getting out of the house in the evening with the baby, just, it seemed like this insurmountable obstacle. And I was worried about, you know, if we're driving along and I need to do a feed, what, you know, in the car, that's going to be tricky. What's that going to look like? Yeah, and I would rather have stayed home. But I came around to the idea, you know, we decided, you know what, we're going to keep it short. We'll do it, you know, in between feeds, so that won't be an issue. We'll do it while she's sleeping. So we got out of the house, we went for a drive, and yeah, I think I tried to kind of put myself mentally in the space to be enjoying things, but there was all these like nagging worries in the back of my mind still. Then we had driven through some neighborhoods, and we were coming back to our house kind of through the countryside, really dark, not a lot of houses to see. And then there was this one farm that we came across, and you could barely see it. It was so dark. There weren't any lights on in the house. Maybe the people were gone. I don't know. But what you could see was what looked like a star, a big star, suspended in midair. And it was above their silo of their barn. And that, to me, all of a sudden I had this moment of clarity. And like I enjoyed seeing that. And I suddenly felt some hope that, you know, the one who this season was all about, and the one who was watching over this whole process, you know, he'd help me get through it. And there was this this moment where it was like I could enjoy it as I normally would, and there wasn't that like fog of anxiety over me. So it wasn't too much long after that. I had a lot of good support. Joe helped bring an army of supportive people around to help. It wasn't too many weeks after that where I could feel that, like I was returning a little bit more to my normal self, and I could be excited about things, and things weren't so daunting, and I wasn't so anxious about things. But that image of that star has really stuck with me. Just as a way, like a sign for me that there was hope in that like dark time for me, and there would be joy coming again for me.